Hello everyone, this is Diane. Welcome to my pretty pink cottage and welcome to the flip through of my first set of journals in 2023. And I'm very excited about these. I've used some vintage sewing patterns, authentic ones. These are not digitals. And I've used a lot of stuff in my stash. So you could call them a continuation of Stash Buster journals, but I did a lot more decorating inside these, and they're just so much fun. So I hope that you will enjoy them as much as I enjoyed making them. 3 of these will be in my shop. This is the one I decided to keep. So I'm just going to set this one aside. I don't need to do a flip through of this one because it has the same elements that the other books have. So we'll do a flip through of these. I think these will probably I don't know if I'm going to do separate listings or each one will have its own, or separate listings, or if they'll be in one listing with the drop down box, and they are named, but I'll probably give each one their own listing. Let me tell you what they measure. They are 5.5 by 8.5, and they're bound with a 1-inch wire. I used my Bind It All to bind them, and I just tied a piece of seam binding on the rings just for decorative look. This is one that I dyed with Rit dye. And the patterns are from the 1950s. So here's the front, and they are Mod Podged onto some chipboard, so there are wrinkles from the Mod Podging, which I like that look anyway. And this is the back of the pattern, and I even Mod Podged the flap onto the back to preserve that. This one is called Gracious. She is pouring tea, so it's obviously a hospitality moment. So I use the word gracious. So as I said, each cover is made with a heavy chipboard and Mod Podge. So here's a piece of scrapbook paper on the inside, again, complete with wrinkles, and a label, and I just put a scrap of paper there for a pocket. And this was a tag that was in my stash that I had collaged. So as I finished up these journals, I just grabbed a tag out of my stash to put in the front pocket. I didn't create ephemera for these journals. I'm sorry. I created the ephemera onto the page, and you'll see what I mean. This is a piece of packaging, so each journal starts with a piece of packaging. 2 of them, I think mine included, has a piece from a Pioneer Woman shower curtain that I got. It had 2 of these cards with the little slot there. So I put some cardstock on it, or pattern paper, and then just looped a little patterned paper through the slot and put an eyelet on it just for decoration. And you can journal on the back of it. I'll talk more during the first journal flip through. The other ones I won't talk much at all. This is a map scrapbook paper with pretty colors, a piece of crimped cardstock. I did most of these pages in videos. So I think there were 3 videos showing how I was creating the ephemera right onto the page. So here we have this crimped piece and a colored doily. The colored doily wraps around. And then after I did all of that, I cut the pages and then collated them, and then I made did the ephemera on the pages. And then I went back and did whatever stamping I was going to do, and my last step was to go back and add things to write on. So there's that piece of paper and a digital. I did pull out a lot of digitals that I already had printed to use in these. Here I added a little flashcard, and this is a digital or just a copy. It's a card that I had. It's a Victorian card, and I made a copy of it. If it is a digital, it's not in my shop yet. I have scanned a lot of things that I haven't actually created into digitals yet, but I'm going to do that this year. This is a dyed paper that I dyed, and a little strip there, decorative strip, and just some little pieces that I tucked in for journaling on. And I added this adhesive paper ribbon and stamped on that edge. This is just a colored card that probably came from a Stamping Tin magazine. A dyed tag. Just some scrapbook paper with some papers from little notepads and some more stamping. Here is a textbook page, and I cut some shapes. You'll see the shape better in a different page because it's wrapped around this page, but I cut that with my Big Shot using scraps of scrapbook paper, and there is a pretty little Old Maid card and a couple of digitals for writing. And here's the other side with another die cut. Oh, it's a shorthand page. There's an envelope that my niece-in-law gave me with a lot of her scrapbook supplies that she wasn't using. So it had this typography on it, and I just added this decorative piece on the flap, and then this little flower that I cut from a magazine, and a couple of note papers, list papers for journaling tucked inside. Here's that shape. So I cut out quite a few pieces of my scrapbook paper scraps into this shape. And this one I used as a pocket with a couple little pieces glued on. And this is another list paper that it was very thin, and I glued it to some cardstock. This I just added a couple little sticky note pieces. This one has a bird on it. So that's decorative. It's like a flag, sticky note flag. And I added that and then stamped down the edge there so you could make a list and check things off. This is from another notepad, and some more, just some bits glued on. A piece of acetate with bright pink polka dots, and I glued this lace on it. And on the back I had stitched just a couple of strips of paper, and I tucked in some note papers for writing. This is a coffee dyed lined paper, a card that came from a box of a card collection that my niece-in-law also gave me. From The Art of Instruction, 100 Postcards of Vintage Educational Charts, published by Chronicle Books. This is a coffee dyed envelope. I did a little collage there. This is a stamped piece that I had stamped and embossed and cut out, and I just added that stamp to it. And inside are more list papers. This is from a little tablet that I recently got at Walmart from the Pioneer Woman. It was a collection of pages, including this that was on a notepad with this. And I just added a strip of paper and a little stamped piece that I had cut out. I stamped it onto paper that I had colored with watercolors. There's a stamp up there. This was an image that I had stamped. She was in my stash. So I just colored her with my Arteza water brush pens and added this piece that was in my stash also that I cut out with my Big Shot. I didn't know that was doubled. There's a couple journaling cards and this little quote. I think I got these in a Happy Mail. I didn't even read them. I just grabbed one and tucked one in some of the pockets in these journals. This is a Jane Austen book page. washi tape. I love that washi tape. I love the colors. On this scrapbook paper, I added a paper clip that I had made with a vintage advertisement from a magazine, and this came from a photo album. So lots of room for writing on that. This scrapbook paper is very easily written on. And I made a little tuck over here. This came out of a vintage Sears catalog or Ward's catalog. It's glued to cardstock. You can write on it. And a couple little note papers. Each of these journals has a unique junk mail envelope. And so I will make sure you get to see the details of each of the envelopes. But this one had a really big window. It even folded up to here. So I covered the window on this side with that piece and added a Queen Elizabeth stamp there, right where the postage would have been. I put some washi tape here to cover up the printing on it, and I added a tag with this digital so you can see her in the window. And on the back, I just added another piece of scrapbook paper and tucked in a couple of cards. This is a I'm not sure the year of this billhead paper. And this got switched. This side should have been over here. So I cut it in half, but on this book they got switched around. It doesn't really matter. You can write on it. Flashcard, just a little scrap of the penmanship paper, a little piece of a fax note paper. This is that penmanship paper again, and a stamp. And I just embellished the back with a digital and some washi tape. This just has a list paper on it, craft list paper on patterned cardstock. Just a couple embellishments there. This came out of a journal. On the white side of this, I just glued a piece of Prima Ledger scrapbook paper, which is really pretty. Some washi tape down here. This is a file folder that I cut and folded to fit in, and I think it's a really fun element. So I used some scrapbook papers to cover up parts of it. I added a pocket. I sprayed through a stencil and a little ephemera piece, a digital. And I had gotten some rub-ons in a Happy Mail, so I got some of those out and used them. And then there's just a journaling card tucked in. This little vintage note paper from some sort of business. And another, this is a printable note card. More crimped paper here. And this strip that I had made with craft paper and little punched out hearts that I sewed on. That's been in my stash for a long time. Here's another doily tuck that I made with two doilies and a banner that I folded it in half and then cut the banner shape. Added that digital. That's one of my digitals that's probably not in my shop yet, but I scanned that from the back of one of my Victorian pieces. And this is, I believe, a Mrs. Coggs digital. I'm not sure, but I think it's Mrs. Coggs. And on this side is a coffee dyed tag that I stamped on. It says "Be kind," and a colored index card. This was a fun page, another Jane Austen page. It's got a couple strips of paper. One of them is edge punched, and then I added these little sacks and some white cards that I stamped on. And then a scrapbook paper with another note sheet. It has the days of the week and it says menu planner. And I stamped that. This is a 6x6 paper. Came from a paper pad. Really beautiful one. And I added a vintage, what is it? Rickrack wrapper as a pocket. A couple of cards in there. You can journal on that side. And there's the back. And it has my signature right there. My first journals of 2023. So I'll go through the other ones more quickly. That one was Gracious. Gotta put the names with them. This one is Glamor, because they just look glamorous, don't they? She's got the fancy headwear and the gloves. Again, it's on the back. It's got some blue seam binding. And I use this tag on the inside. And this is the packaging that I used. It's a Tim Holtz package. It had this flap. So I left that up there, just put some scrapbook paper on and then tucked that up. I didn't do anything to the backs of the items that I tucked in. And I had something I wanted to cover up down here, so I just had this little small playing card on my desk, so I glued that on, and it's a little tuck spot. This one has a miniature Old Maid card. Molly Moo. She's a milkmaid. Here's the envelope with Sunflower Digital. This is a circle punched from a children's Mother Goose book page. This is the acetate with white lines on it. I don't know if you could see that. Quite a few pages inside there. Here's the stamp I used on this one. She's a stamp image that I cut out and glued on, but I glued it on while I had the envelope oriented the wrong way. This is a fun element for a tuck spot. I had this die cut, and then this was on my desk, so I wanted to add that, and then I added these game spinners that might have come from Stampin' Up. I don't remember. And I made this paper clip with Milk of Magnesia. I think it came out of a Raleigh's little catalog, vintage catalog. Things to write on there. Here's the envelope in this journal. It had this orange on one side of it, but I covered up all the writing with all of these little pieces. And I covered the back, made a little pocket out of that, and added a banner. And this is a digital element, and this is a digital element. Again, the coffee dyed tag. Here's the folder with the crimped paper, the rub-on, digital, and some journaling cards, index card. The stamping is the same on all of the tags, so I won't be pulling them out. And this one is hem facing. So this one is Glamor. And then lastly, this one has a thin seam binding in it. This one is called Charm. The packaging for this one had this little fold-up piece. It was a Tim Holtz packaging, and there were ephemera pieces inside this. So I cut it off at the bottom because it was gusseted, and then I just glued it back on as a pocket. Added that ephemera piece and tucked a couple of skinny tags in there. It's another one of mine. Beautiful Victorian card that I have. This page was torn. You can still see right there. But I covered up part of the tear with this. But I glued this on the back of it to hold the tear, so it's glued down. And there's a little piece of that sticky paper lace there. This one has a little miniature Snow White playing card. I meant to put that in my journal, but I forgot. That's a digital bank check. Isn't that beautiful? I don't remember which shop it came from. These were really fun to make. There's papers in there. It's the first time I used this stamp, and I really love it. I don't know what set it came with. I mean, I know I have the set. I got it online from Amazon. I don't know the company. I think it came from overseas. Here's the girl that I had stamped, Jane Davenport stamp. The first one I did is in my journal, but I used my Arteza water brush paints to paint this one, because I had her in my stash, but she wasn't painted. And this paper clip is Nestle's Sweet Milk Cocoa. And the envelope here, I did do a video where I actually decorated all the envelopes on the video. One of those page, I think there were three videos of making the pages, and this was in one of those videos. So there's crimped paper there, and I glued it. I put glue right here to make two pockets. So this is one of my dyed cards. Some of these dyed items I dyed with Rit dye. I had a few colors of that. And this card. Here's the folder. The rub-ons. This is a little scrap of wallpaper right here at the top of this pocket. And a rickrack packaging again. Love that paper. So that one is Charm. We have Charm and Glamor and Gracious. So let me just show you quickly what some of the differences are in mine, like the envelope, that sort of thing. I'm not gonna, oh, I did tuck this into mine. She was left over from, must be from the sewing journals that I did. So I just tucked her in there. Mine has Stay Puft Rinse, laundry rinse. Here's my envelope. It's the one with the ice cream and the sprinkles. And I use this folder because it's D to H, and those are my initials, Diane Hubert. This is a scrap from a digital. It's got strawberries on it. And there's my rub-on. I put some rub-ons on this side too. I just love the colors. I love the way this page turned out. This is the back of one of my Victorian cards, and I love the blue. Just went really well with this. I had this little piece, so I added that. It's a digital. And I just think it all worked so nicely together. It's one of those things that I didn't really think out and plan, but when I tucked everything in, I thought, oh, that looks really nice. I think the only thing that might improve it is different colors on that card. I might switch it out. Seam binding packaging here. The end. So there we go. My first journals of 2023, they were really fun to make. I started them actually in 2022, but they were completed in 2023. So that was the first time I wrote 2023 on one of my little signature circles. And these three, oh, I didn't tell you when they'll be in my shop. All right, today's Wednesday. There's another video Thursday. So these will be in my shop on Friday. The day you see this video will be Friday. So they will be in the shop later today at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to try that and see if it helps. So far, no one has asked to have one of these reserved because I said I was going to try picking or allowing one from a group to be reserved, and no one has asked about that, but there's still 2 days of videos, today and tomorrow, of the videos, so I don't know if anyone will ask, but just in case, if you see one that's reserved for somebody, don't purchase that one. There will be 2 more for the video, or for the shop. All right, I hope that wasn't confusing, and I hope that you'll come back for the next video to see what's next. What is project number 2 in the Pretty Pink Cottage? Have a creative day, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.